Hey, how's it going, guys? I've got some requests on like how I personally paint things and all that stuff. I want to start out by stating I am in no way a professional or the best, never will claim to be. It's not the point of this video. This is just educational purposes only. But first, I wanted to start out by showing some pretty cool pieces that I got from historical board gaming. So these are Japanese transports, and what I really like about historical board gaming, excuse my dirty fingernails, but they put the name of everything on the bottom of all the ships and stuff like that. That way you know what you have. So with all the pieces I've ordered, I tend to forget sometimes the names of things. So that's a nice little touch I really appreciate. And then a lot of people ask me, about the decals and stuff like that, where I get them from and all that stuff. Um, I just got an order today from Combat Miniatures. I wish I was good enough to paint aircraft carriers by hand. Some people are, like Wolf Dins Customs and George Biblical Craft Studios. I can tag them in the comments, and I'm pretty sure they take orders as well. In my opinion, they are the best of the best. That's where I got these infantry from. It's from George, and he painted that plane. It's magnetic as well. And a bunch of other stuff I have. That aircraft carrier, he painted that. So stuff like that. Those are from Historical Board Gaming. Those, what are they called? I guess anti-aircraft guns. These, I'm blanking on it. Artillery are also from, actually those may be from Combat Miniatures. But yeah, stuff like that. And then these metal ships I got from GHQ. So stuff like that. If you want to get decals, I would highly recommend this. These are stickers. I cut them out with an X-Acto knife, and then you can put them on. I actually apply a secondary glue. That way they stay on there better. But these are all designed to fit the standard out-of-box Axis and Allies carriers from the 1940 global game, as it says right there. So, and then here's some other ones that I just got from Combat Miniatures as well. So I'm really excited about those Japanese flags. I just wanted to show those off first before I give my little tutorial. I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible. It's kind of a lot going on. I'm going to move this out of the way real quick. Again, I'm not the best, nor do I claim to be the best. I've just had some requests in, so I'm going to give at least how I paint things and stuff like that. And I'm all open for suggestions and all that. But so the first things first, I kind of, as much as I could, did like a step-by-step. I kind of rushed this a little bit. It's nowhere perfect. That's, again, not the goal of this. It's just kind of wanted to show you my process. So this is like a standard Axis and Allies piece that, you get out of box. This is how they look originally. So I wanted to show that. The very first thing I do, I use this flat gray primer. I just put as many of them as I can, or as that I need, into this right here. And I put like a paper towel down like that. As you can tell, it's been spray painted a bunch. And I literally just put them all in there. And this is where I use for any of my sprays or anything like that. And I go out in the garage and I bulk spray because it saves money and time. So that's the very first step. You don't have to use this spray paint primer. You can use any kind of primer. Just make sure it's a primer. And the reason for that is that way the paints that you apply to your miniatures actually stick on the miniature. So that's what that second one is. It's just a flat spray painted primed Russian infantry. And then the second step will be you want to just kind of, whatever the main color is going to be for like the miniature. I used Russian uniform for this. With all of my stuff, as you can see in the background right here, I have a little cheat code actually, again, because I'm not professional, so I need all the help I can get, right? So I bought these online. These have been a lifesaver because, as you can tell, on the very bottom, it shows you exactly how to paint. It's super, super nice. So I just kind of follow this as much as possible. And it's been awesome. One of the best things I've ever bought, actually. Again, it's a lot of money for all this stuff. I get that. If you can't afford it, you don't have to. The main thing with all this is research. When I first started, or even now, I'll go on the Axis and Allies page and I'll I'll look up what other people have done just to get inspiration on how to paint for the Axis and Allies thing, because you know it may look different um, than you think. So that's the next step. So that third one right there, that's going to be, I just painted them with just this, that Russian uniform. And then the second one's going to be the highlight, the green gray. So that's what that second one's going to be, kind of highlighted as much as possible. You know, I'm not really an expert in highlighting, nor am I the best, but from what I understand, you're supposed to do like all the creases and stuff like that. Again, don't be afraid to reach out to all these guys, like Matt Todd, you know, Stephen K, John Montague, all these creators. They're more than willing to give you any advice that you need. You can reach out to me as well. And then the third step I do, I kind of put the base. I just used this red paint right here, crimson red. Any kind of paint I buy, you want to make sure it's acrylic paint, based on my opinion. Brands, a lot of people will go back and forth on that. Brands are, you know, in my opinion, they're not that big of a deal, but other more professional people will say that they are a big deal. As you can tell, I have 3 different brands here. So, and then kind of the, you know, the final step, other than touch-ups, which as you can tell, this one needs touched up, is I'll go ahead and paint, you know, the gun, the boots, and then the like the skin tone and all that stuff. And I use this as all my skin tones. It's literally called Sunny Skin Tone. And this I actually got from this set that I bought right here, which has been super, super nice. There's actually a little thing inside here where you open it up and it tells you how to paint. That's for like the super, super advanced stuff like that. I'll get there one day. But yeah, so that's where I use all my skin tone from. If it's a darker shade, for like the India troops and stuff like that, I'll add just a mix of brown in there just to get it a little darker. But yeah, you want to do that, and I usually base them first, and then put the and then do the boots over after I base it. It doesn't matter which order you want to do this in. Again, this is just the way I do it. There's not a wrong or right way, in my opinion. Just however you want to do them. And then once you get done with all that and you make sure everything dries, I would recommend like 24 hours. Make sure everything is dry. That's what you want to make sure before you do any of these next steps. So, you prime it, let it dry. Recommend at least 12 hours. You paint the main base, let it dry. So if you have a lot of troops, you can just kind of, you can kind of do them all at once, or you have a lot of stuff you need to paint, right? That's what I do. I just go one at a time, and then I let it dry. And then, you highlight it or whatever you need to do, let it dry. And you're going to do like a lot of redos over this stuff. So like, just because you do it once doesn't mean that's it. And whenever you let it dry, you'll see that some of the paint will not actually stay on there too. So that's also why it's important to let it dry. And then the very last step, once you get done with all of that and everything's ready, the base is done, I actually wait till the very end to do the very bottom, just because I keep them like this when they're drying. And I've learned in the past, oops, I dropped one, that it's actually, whenever you paint the bottom, it doesn't stick, or it rubs off eventually over time. So I just kind of wait till the very end. And then what you want to do is you want to use this, it's called Technical Contrast Medium. As you see, I have it labeled. And then it's also a shade null oil 1-to-1 ratio. And you want to use that over your troops to kind of highlight all the, all your details that you put in, stuff like that. As you can tell in here, I also painted the backpacks like khaki, just like it said on the box. I personally use a petri dish like this for all my paints. Those are the 6 paints I use for this infantry. You could do more depending on what you're painting or what you need. But yeah, as you can see, I've got quite a few, so I've got some options. And then as far as for decaling, you always want to use Decal Fix. So the way I do it is some of the decals you're going to need to cut out individually. Some of them, it doesn't really matter. So just to be safe, I just cut them all out in like little squares. And then I'll actually get this little petri dish and I'll fill it up with some water. And then I'll kind of submerge that decal in this with the water, right? And then I take it out with my finger. So like these little decals, right? Like I'll kind of take it out with my finger and I'll have, so this side that goes on the miniature, right? You put that on your finger side like this. so that way the backside's exposed, and then you can put the decal fix on the backside while it's on your finger or whatever you want to do. Again, this is just the way I do it. This doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way. This is just the way I do it. This is merely an educational video. It's not, you know, the end all be all. If anyone has any other advice or any other way to do it, that's perfectly fine. But anyways, I'll put it on the very back of my finger, and then I'll just kind of simply, like, you know, a lot of times I'll put them on the base right here, right? So I'll just kind of, like, I want them to go right there in the middle, right? So I'll just kind of, I'll literally do that, and then I'll kind of do that with my finger and kind of just until it goes. And then what I'll do, oh, I should have brought this out. Let me get it real quick. So I'll get this, and this has been a lifesaver for me. I'll get some tweezers. And I'll actually move the decal with these tweezers. You can either do that, or you can use like an old brush or something, and then you literally just, you know, you just kind of move it to wherever you need to be, you know, boom, 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 while it's still wet from the decal fix and all that stuff before it sets, right? It's going to set pretty quickly. That decal fix kind of acts as like glue. That way you don't see like the backing of it too much, right? And that way it sticks on the miniature more and better, right? So that's what that's used for. So that's very important. And then the very last step, again, you want to make sure everything's dry, everything's good. There's a couple of finishes here, as you can tell. That Testors one, the spray enamel, I think that was recommended to me by George Craft Biblical Studios. He does amazing work. I have a lot of stuff from him. I really, really appreciate him as a person and as a creator, and just all good stuff. And then, or you can use this matte finish. Again, you want to make sure that it's clear coated and that it's like a sealer, you know, as you can see, it says sealer, acrylic sealer, right? And what are we using? Acrylic paints, right? So it goes hand in hand. And then a couple other things, like there's some magnetic paint you can use. The only thing with that I've noticed is if you use magnetic paint like on the end, like the aircraft carriers and then the planes, they actually won't like magnetize. So it's better to use a magnet inside the aircraft carriers and then just use this for the planes. That way you don't have to drill those holes and all that stuff and all that stuff. That's just me. And then another lifesaver that I used, I don't know if anyone else does, I actually use markers. Again, these are, what are we going with, guys? Acrylic paint markers. You always want to make sure it says acrylic, right? So these are paint markers. These are a lifesaver. I mainly use these for ships and stuff like that. Again, there's no right or wrong way. If anyone has better ways, that's fine. I'm just simply kind of giving what I do and stuff like that. So I think that's it. I'll kind of glance over these real quick. These are all the, as you can tell, I pretty much have almost every country. You got the British, you know, you got the desert British and German, and they all have the tutorials on the back. And it saves so much time, especially for the infantry, right? So those are awesome. Those have been a lifesaver. Obviously, this stuff does cost money, but the way I kind of justify it to myself is, you know, any extras or anything like that I have, or just in general, I'll use this to make some of that money back, right? Again, you don't have to do what I do, but that's the reason why I personally went a little all out, I guess, is what you could say. I'm sure there's some other stuff I'm missing, but that's kind of the gist of it. This is mainly just an infantry tutorial. I find that they're kind of the trickiest. So again, this is just my tutorial. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate everyone's support. Of course, as always, there's going to be more products. Oh, I almost forgot. I use this for, I always put water in here, and I'll use that to kind of, you know, my little brushes or whatever, I'll kind of just, you know, kind of clear it out. That way I can make sure there's no paint on or anything like that. And if we really need to, like some of these paints, like especially this one, they need water, a little bit of water mixed in it. That's another thing, guys. A little bit goes a long way. Notice how there's not a whole lot of paint here, right? A little bit goes a long way. So real quick before I get out of here, whenever I'm painting something, what I personally do, especially because these guys are small, right? So I'll kind of dab it in here, and then I'll actually go right here and kind of get it out, and then it's ready to go, right? And you'd be surprised, that goes a long way, especially when you're doing the face and stuff. As you can tell, I kind of already messed up a little bit on the face there, but stuff like that, you know. And then other ones like this one, I had to, like what I do when I'm mixing the paint, I'll kind of, or I'm sorry, mixing it with water. I'll do like that, I'll kind of hit it once, and then I'll just put it in here, and then I'll just kind of circle it like that, right? A little bit goes a long way. There's also a way where you can do like the paper towel method, where you have a damp paper towel and you put it on something with a lid, and you can actually save your paints, right? So there's water underneath it, and then a paper towel, and it's in like a container kind of like this or even smaller, and then you can put your paint on top of that paper towel, and then that paint, once you seal it with the lid, that paint will stretch a lot further, especially if you're trying to save money and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't use that much paint as it is, as you can tell. I literally just put 1 or 2 drops like that when I'm squeezing it, and that usually is good for me, and I can make that go pretty far. So I don't use a whole lot of paint, so I don't personally feel the need to do that, but that's also another way you can do that. I think that's everything. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to comment. I'm gonna go ahead and tag some of the guys that have been inspirations to me and that have really helped me with my journey. So again, this is Josh. This is just kind of educational purposes, and I really, really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you very much. I look forward to the journey with all of you guys, and I really appreciate this group. Thank you.